Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So, we are back with some news in regards to the 2026 elections, and we got some news that is not that really fitting for Republicans. It kind of throws some cold water on them, as Brian Kemp has declared that he will not seek a Senate run, just like Chris Sununu. And a lot of people speculate it is because of a potential presidential run. I can't say I disagree with it. But I will say it's just very frustrating. Brian Kemp, he's not going to win the Republican nomination 2028. It's just so stupid. He is wasting opportunities. And who knows, he might be retiring. He is old at age, and that's something we kind of have to remember. We kind of knew that, hey, look, Brian Kemp, he's old, he's older. Yes, he's very popular. A lot of people think he's going to go and run for the presidency. I don't think he's going to win it, and I don't think he's going to win the Republican primary. But in the end, I do think, who knows, it's either he is retiring or he is going to he's going to run for the presidency. But the thing is, he's not running, and that means Republicans need to do Plan B. And I've always talked about Plan B in regards to the Senate for a while. And the good news for Republicans is like we're not left with limited options like a Herschel Walker. The problem with 2022 was we didn't double down on our choices, on our opportunities. Republicans have, it's a red state, Georgia. Republicans have Georgia. Democrats have 2 Senate seats there, but that's really all they have. But we have a lot of congressmen, and the lower state offices are also solidly Republican. So we do have lots of choices. John Ossoff, yeah, he is beating all of them in the polls. But I'll tell you, it's way too early to actually indicate which way it's actually going. But I would just say, hey, look, don't frown on this. I am not a fan of the Marjorie Taylor Greene pick. I have no problem with MTG at all. And I agree with her on pretty much every issue. It's just the American people have clearly rejected her. They don't want her. I wouldn't say I would. I don't care if she was the governor of Georgia. She can't win. I don't care if she was a senator. She can't win. Period. We've seen this through polls. We've seen this through her approval rating. She's a liability. And I would strongly urge Republicans to vote against her in the primary. And I hope she doesn't run. She hasn't declared her run. So far, there has been no one that has declared their run for this Senate seat. But it's just ridiculous how we have Marjorie Taylor Greene winning, beating Mike Collins, Buddy Carter, John King, Brad Raffensperger. Don't like him, but, well, actually, Brad Raffensperger was somewhat of a rhino. But I wouldn't go with Raffensperger. Too controversial. But yeah, Brian Kemp was pretty much the only guy Republicans really felt very confident in to put Georgia from the toss-up battleground to actually of a Republican seat. Because of this news, race to the White House has declared it a leaning Democrat, even though I would highly suggest that's not necessarily the case. It's still going to be a very tossed-up race because you actually have a lot of different candidates. Republicans have the advantage of their choices. Democrats don't really have much choices other than the 2 seats, the congresswomen and congressmen in Atlanta, the Atlanta districts. That's all they have. Republicans have the districts. They also have the House and the state House and state Senate, the leaders there, and they also have leaders from the lower offices. we can actually go over those offices from the 2022 results and see how they kind of performed. But just to mention a few names before, Buddy Carter is the congressman from Georgia's 1st District, covering that Savannah area. I don't know, people might say, I think he could possibly win. Obviously, he's not going to carry. Well, that's the thing. He's representing an area, a Democrat city. And depending on how Chatham County went for Carter, that's going to take away from Ossoff. And the other thing is, we got to remember that John Ossoff's not as popular as Raphael Warnock. People were excited to vote for Raphael Warnock, especially the African-American Baptists. We already have the African-American community, I wouldn't say in general. We have a lot of African-Americans that are irreligious or not religious at all that would vote for Raphael Warnock regardless. But it would be like the Baptists, which honestly did vote for Donald Trump. A lot of African-American Baptists backed Trump, but in 22, they backed Raphael Warnock because they related to him. They trusted him. He was a Baptist minister. He was a preacher, and not to mention, he came off as a leader. He came off as someone who well-spoken, came off as a leader, and they trusted him as a man of God. So these Christian evangelicals, maybe the Baptist African-American community, favored Warnock over Herschel Walker, who ran a very bad campaign. Lots of blunders, I will tell you. And I think the biggest blunder was the Republican Party not choosing a congressman. And that's something we need to do. We got to stop nominating football players. We really hope that Herschel Walker's name recognition would be the better opportunity. But people like Herschel, they have no problem, but they just don't want him to be a senator. They don't think, they kind of want him to play football. They want him to stay out of politics. And that's kind of what people want and have expectations of, especially in Congress, government, in this sort of thing. John Ossoff doesn't have that appeal. Who is he going to go? Are you going to wake up thinking, oh my goodness, I am so excited to go and vote for John Ossoff? No, unless you're a DNC NPC or a Democratic Party NPC, then of course you're going to go up. But Ossoff's not going to attract the Baptist community because then again, he's not a preacher. He doesn't have that appeal. Not to mention, John Ossoff has said some very stupid stuff. Not to mention, I think there's gonna have to be some sort of, I would say, referendum on the actions of Ossoff in his said career in the Senate. Excuse me, but like calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. Yeah, that might resonate with a lot of your radical base, and of course, we got to expect the radical base to be all up in arms on Election Day in 2026. But if he's running on that, and you're just giving the Republican opponent leverage to get Trump voters out and voting, we can't let John Ossoff. We can't let this John Ossoff, who is a guarantee vote to remove President Trump from power, have 6 more years in the Senate. We can't let that happen. That's the Republican message. Get out and defend Trump. That's what helped win Trump the election in 2024. Fight for Trump. Trump's fought for us. We got to fight for him. And apparently, yes, he's in the White House now, but we got to still fight for him because we've seen in the last couple days, the 100 days of his first days in office, Democrats don't want to work with him. Yes, even some Republicans worked with Biden, but Democrats, not one, wants to work with Trump. Trump, yeah, they're saying how bad of a job he's doing. Yeah, it's because Democrats are helping. Democrats are just sitting there sipping margaritas with illegal immigrants. So that's kind of the message that Republicans kind of need to run with. So I was going to show you the many candidates we got, and we do have a lot. Reflecting back on the Georgia state elections, Republicans won every state election, mainly because Republicans were the low propensity voter, okay? It's easy for Republicans to win in Georgia because they're low propensity. They're likely, actually, no, my bad. They're opposite. They're the high propensity voter. They're likely to turn out in these elections. Democrats, in order for them to win, they're going to have to unite the African-American base. And like we've seen in the Senate election, African-American base was united under Warnock. Republicans really hoped that the African-American base would split because they got Herschel Walker in there, and a lot of them are a fan of Herschel. But then again, Herschel doesn't honestly have that leadership mentality. I'm criticizing the Angel here. He doesn't have that leadership mentality, and like I said, Warnock is a gifted speaker. He's, of course, a Baptist minister. Then again, church leader, man of God. That's what they say. They're going to follow him. And Herschel Walker didn't look confident. I'm being quite honest. When the debate we've seen in 2022 was a pretty bad debate for Walker. But what should give you some hope is Warnock. Ossoff is not. Ossoff is probably going to gain less than a point because this is the cap right here. This is the rooftop. 2.8. Democrats cannot do better than 2.8 with all confidence. So, even if maybe Ossoff, if he was running against Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ossoff would probably get 4 points. But that would be because of Marjorie Taylor Greene, not because of John Ossoff's so amazing. But then again, her 2 points with the fact that Herschel Walker's not a politician. He did actually very well despite that. And Raphael Warnock had the African-American base by his side. I feel very confident that we will pick up the Senate seat without Kemp, to be honest. Looking at the fact right here, you have many different options. I'll tell you, we don't have Kemp. Kemp says he's not running. 2022, well, actually, nope. Lieutenant Governor's race, Burt Jones, he could run if he wanted to. He hasn't had any indications that he would. But he would be the second option, in my opinion. He's the lieutenant governor. And we know he does perform pretty well in an at-large race. You got the Secretary of State. Brad Raffensperger has expressed interest. You see, too, he has a 10-point win. He went in and split the black belt. Like, went in and took over the black belt right here. I want to say the black block right here. And he almost won Cobb, which is amazing. It's become pretty solid blue. So I'm not opposed to Brad Raffensperger seizing that nomination. It's the fact that we've seen Daniel Kelly in Kentucky. No, not Daniel Kelly. Daniel Cameron, in Kentucky when it came to Bashir. And I think that race, specifically, we needed a congressman. Like, Daniel Cameron, great guy, love him, no problem with him. But this was his 2019 Attorney General's result, which kind of costed him the election. Yeah, this is not a good Republican performance. He got 57%. Typical Republican performance is 62%. They say, yes, he's a Republican juggernaut. Yeah, but not with this record, though. This record's not enough. So, like him, I wouldn't have he's running again. He's running for the Senate seat in Kentucky. He will win. No doubt about it. But going against Bashir, who has proven, if you see the other page, who's proven to be very popular even in his attorney general's tenure, I would have said, Daniel Cameron, he's not the best option. We need a congressman. Like, seriously. That wasn't the best choice. But back to Georgia, that was kind of like, okay, maybe we have somewhat of a risk if we run Brad Raffensperger. But you already have two good options. The Attorney General, Chris Carr. Look at this. We're doing very well in these African-American areas. Chris Carr against Jen Jordan. This was like a 5-point win for Carr. And I don't know, maybe Carr is expressing a run for that said race. He has not. But he's the one I'm open to. The Labor Commissioner, Bruce Thompson. He has won. He has run he's won this by like 7 points. Now then again, this is a lower office. People aren't going to care much about this office. And then again, Republicans being the high propensity voter, they're likely to win this office by a lot. So I'm like, Bruce Thompson, he is the Labor Commissioner. He has not expressed a run. So now it's kind of getting a little dull, and this is what I'm encouraging people to be cautious. You're going to see good results like this. A 9-point win, Richard Woods. A lot of people say he's so strong. He's the superintendent of schools. But then again, this is an office that a lot of people, maybe the liberals, but then you would think they would show up for this. But it's high propensity. Republicans are high propensity. You have a 9-point win for Woods. So, and you'll see here, no real public expression of interest to run in this race. John King's expressed a challenge, but Georgia Insurance and Safety Fire Commissioner. I don't think that's experience enough, though. He's running in a large office. That does not mean you're experienced. We've seen what you've done electorally. Yes, we've seen it right here. King has done a good performance here, but then again, I'm going to say it again. A lot of people are tired of hearing me saying it. High propensity voter, right? Republicans, high propensity voter in Georgia. They're expected to win, and not especially if African Americans don't get out and vote in these elections. I mean, they just want to vote in the Senate and the governor, and they'd then be done. And I'm talking about Baptist Christians, right? Baptist Christians that are part of the African American community. We know the MPC. The MPCs will vote regardless. But John King has expressed a run. I would not be opposed to him. He's just not that experienced. Tyler Harper, the Agriculture Commissioner, he's expressed a run for the Senate, and he does pretty well in the African American areas. And you've seen in 2022 the African American areas caving to the Republicans. Not so much in the Senate, because I already told you why. Raphael Warnock. But you'll see African American areas are breaching Republicans' way in these lower offices, mainly because evangelical Democrats aren't backing Democrats, or they're not voting at all. So those are the options we got. Not one Democrat is holding that said office or said lower offices. So I do think, you know what? A lot of people said, he's the governor. I'm referring to Brian Kemp. He's the governor of Georgia. He should go for it. He's very popular. He's very well liked. But then again, we got to remember, he's old. He could be retiring. So I did figure that. And if I would be mad if he runs for the Senate, then runs for the president. And I'm like, no, you're not going to win. I wouldn't let Brian Kemp win because you screwed us over. It's one thing if you want to retire, okay? I mean, he's not Chris Sununu. Chris Sununu is young. I'm mad at Chris Sununu. He's an idiot. He probably wants to run for president. No, Mr. Sununu, you're not running for president. You're not going to win the Republican nomination. Not to mention, not with that attitude you have towards MAGA, you're not going to win that nomination. Period. And you have... So, I wouldn't jump to conclusions with Kemp yet. He's been in there for actually quite a while. Maybe not as long as Mark DeWine, excuse me, not DeWine. But he's been in there for like 2003 in the state senate. I know that's not that long ago, but then again, how old is he? He's 61. I guess he can run for president if he wants, but that would be annoying. Then I'd be mad. Like, you screwed us over. You could have flipped that seat, and instead you want to run for president for your own ego. And that's just like, no, we're not going to let you win. No, nomination's not yours. We're not going to let you win anything. You're not going to win a delegate, nothing. You're going to drop out in February. That's what you're going to do. But a lot of people say that Marjorie Taylor Greene's leading the race. This is a poll including her. I think it's concerning, and I hope she does not run. That means the seat is, we're not winning the seat at all. And that would be not good. But she's a liability. Can she pull it off? I have a hard time thinking she can, but she's just a liability. I just don't want to even do that. And you'll see here, yeah, Oseth Taylor Ossoff Green race. I would say that this is Tyson group polling has indicated that this race, if a Green versus Ossoff race were to break out, you had a 12-point win. That's a likely margin for the senator. Then you have, this isn't good polling. Trump Republicans can't embrace this. I mean, if they want to win, this is not good polling. You got a 17 solid margin. That means the average would increase by up to 15. That's a solid Democrat win. Okay? Well, here's some good news for Miss Green. It dipped down to 9 points according to Trafalgar. But these still aren't good odds. Unless, this is 11 points. What am I talking about? Unless she wants to run on the message that, hey, look, Ossoff wants to impeach Trump, try to get that Trump base out and voting. Yeah, that would work, but I'm having a hard time thinking you're going to get those moderate independents, getting those the Baptist evangelical Christians. I mean, I'm referring to the African American community, which is very tossed up in regards to these issues. I'm thinking, how are you going to do that? How? So I am not at all confident with Marjorie. Sorry, I am telling hard truths. I'm a person that will tell hard truth. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's not going to win. And I will predict her defeat to better help people understand that, hey, look, it might not go her way. What would a Ossoff Green race look like? Well, I would imagine that, African-American vote might go up to 94. I mean, that's pretty much the roof. White college graduate would probably dip down 54. I would say 54 at least. And on top of that, you're already getting an OSEF +4 result. Hispanics, 63%. How about that? 63. Asian, 68. All right. And I would imagine, yes, white college, non-college graduate would drop quite a bit. Yeah, this is going to hurt her really badly, but you'll see it cuts through. Okay, this is kind of what it would look like, a 12-point win for OSEF. Don't give it to him. I'm telling you, Republicans, whenever that primary would be, when's the primary? Do they actually have a date? I doubt they have a date now. It's just so far away. It's less than a year, though. But I would imagine they're coming up with the date soon. But Republicans, don't double down on this, please. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I agree with her on everything. But she needs to stay in the House. She is a reliable Trump ally in the House of Representatives. And that's where her talent is. She has potential, but her potential's in the House, not in the Senate. And when it comes to winning these seats, we gotta be very, like Georgia, we gotta be very critical. OSEF is popular, has a good approval rating. Yeah, he's hurt himself with these anti-Trump comments, the Trump impeachment BOGO thing. Yes, he's hurting himself, but we can't hurt ourselves by putting in a bad candidate like we did in 2022. We can't not do it. So anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.